I was still carrying the pie when my father told me I wasn't welcome back. It was pumpkin pie, still warm from the oven, made the way my mother always liked it, with extra nutmeg and a drizzle of maple syrup across the top. I had baked it the night before and spent 3 hours driving through thick fog to bring it home. It was Thanksgiving. I was still smiling when Dad said, "Give back the $50,000, Nora, or don't come back." For a moment, I waited for the joke. Our family didn't make scenes around the Thanksgiving table. Kayla sat quietly with her hands folded in front of her, looking like she was attending a funeral. Owen stared down at the tablecloth. My mother couldn't even look at me. I never sat down. The pie tin suddenly felt impossibly heavy in my hands. "What are you talking about?" "Mom's account," Kayla said. Her mascara was slightly smudged at the corners, but her voice carried no emotion. $50,000 disappeared last month, right after you helped set up her online banking. I had set it up. The app, the passwords, the security prompts. We'd gone through everything together. For weeks earlier, we had written all the information in the kitchen notebook kept in the drawer. Now that same day had apparently become the day I stole from her. "You think I took money from Mom?" A muscle jumped in Owen's jaw. "The bank says the withdrawals were made online," he said. "Nobody else had access." I placed the pie on the counter. The metal tin made a small click that sounded strangely accusing. I picked up my coat, forced back the words that would have burned through the entire room, and walked out. I didn't cry in the car. Instead, I drove to a roadside motel and rented a room. The place smelled of worn carpet and microwave popcorn. I sat on the edge of the bed and watched my hands tremble. I'm 34 years old, a senior forensic accountant. My job is following money through layers of deception. If my family had already decided I was the thief, then I would do what I do best. I would follow the money. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. Coffee from the motel lobby scorched my tongue while I opened my laptop on the desk. Money never truly disappears. It simply changes disguises. I began with Mom's bank, Greenwell Mutual, an institution my team had already flagged as part of a larger pattern involving elder financial abuse. There were 3 withdrawals. Each one sat just below the reporting threshold and was spaced apart with deliberate precision. I messaged Theo from compliance and sent him a name, a branch, and a date range. The request involved confidential information, but it was still within my authorized access. Less than an hour later, he sent back transaction logs and surveillance stills. 3 withdrawals. Not online. In person. The first was for $20,000 on October 10th. The second and third were $15,000 each, 5 days apart. Teller identification, timestamps, signatures, everything was there. I opened the footage. The grainy pixels slowly sharpened into a posture I recognized immediately. A young woman stood at the teller counter wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and a ponytail. She lowered her mask to speak. My breathing stopped. "Kayla." She shifted her weight the way she always did, tapping out a rhythm only she seemed able to hear. She handed over Mom's identification and signed the paperwork. I recognized that hurried, slanted signature instantly. I opened the next clip. Owen appeared calm and relaxed, chatting with the teller as if it were an ordinary day. He signed the documents as comfortably as though the account belonged to him. The third video showed Kayla again. Same gray hoodie, different sunglasses. They hadn't merely taken the money. They had built an entire story around me. Next, I pulled the metadata from Mom's banking app. After I had left, the first login came from a tablet connected to the home's Wi-Fi network. A recovery email had been added to the account. The phone number linked to that email wasn't one I recognized. It belonged to Owen. I printed every piece of evidence. The teller records, the timestamps, the surveillance images. I organized everything into a black presentation folder, the kind that silently announces, "This isn't a discussion, it's evidence." By Monday afternoon, sunlight stretched across the familiar street. I parked along the curb, rested the folder on my lap for a moment, and walked inside to tell the truth. Everyone was gathered in the kitchen when I entered. Kayla sat on the counter. Owen stood near the refrigerator. Mom was at the sink. Dad lingered nearby. I placed the folder on the island, opened it, and spread out the images. "You told me to return $50,000, I said. Before anything else, look at where it actually went." Kayla's eyes landed on the photo of herself standing at the teller window. Owen lost color when he saw his own image. Mom stopped moving, the dish towel frozen in her hands. Dad cleared his throat. Explain. The withdrawals were made in person, I said. October 10th, October 15th, and October 20th. The teller records, signatures, and timestamps are all here. The first and third withdrawals were made by Kayla. The second was made by Owen. I pointed to another document. As for the online activity, the login came from a tablet connected to the home's Wi-Fi network. The recovery email added to the account was linked to Owen's phone. Mom slowly lowered herself into a chair. You let me believe Nora did this. Kayla's chin quivered. You always get everything, she said. I thought, if you looked guilty, maybe I'd finally look better. I met her gaze. You didn't just create a lie, I said. You destroyed a relationship. Owen crossed his arms. She can afford it. It was never about the money, I replied. It was about trust. Silence settled over the room. After a moment, Dad spoke. Nora, what happens now? I'm not filing charges, I said. But I've already sent everything to the family attorney. The next decisions are yours to make. I'm done making them for you. I closed the folder. Nobody tried to stop me. Outside, the air carried the scent of rosemary. I got in my car and drove back to Boston. I left my phone unanswered. Several weeks later, I mailed Mom a brochure about financial protection for older adults along with a short note. I'll save you a seat if you'd like one. Her response arrived sometime later. Inside was a photograph taken on a porch, showing 3 children dressed in costumes. On the back, she had written, "We were wrong. I'm learning." I never framed the note. Some truths feel lighter when you carry them within you.